Hello. Today we're going to look at a standard manufacturing 45 caliber long Colt with a 7.5 inch barrel. Later in the video we'll be going out to the shooting range and firing the gun and see how it performs and how accurate we can be with it. So we've got the two-piece walnut grips. If you'll notice on the case hardening we have some orange, some blue, a little bit of green, a little bit more green down here, or turquoise. You've got your richly blued cylinder and barrel. You'll notice we have the case coloring on the hammer, and notice a beautiful bluing on the barrel and the injector rod housing. You've got your full size front sight. Here's where we have the stamping that says standard manufacturing. So the gun is manufactured in the United States. It's manufactured using better quality steel than the old Colts were, stronger metal than was on the original Colts. You do have a fixed firing pin. And then you've got the first generation style of checkering on the hammer. If you'll notice a very fine fit between the parts. That's something that Standard is very careful about. All the parts have a very good tight fit and good excellent workmanship. Now we're going to zoom in so that you can see with more detail the case coloring. So we'll zoom in here. Just have some beautiful colors, sort of almost every color in the rainbow it appears. One final thing I wanted to share with you is on the grips, on the two-piece grips like we have here. I have about 5 of these pistols, and I've noticed that on the two-piece grips you can tell by the grain in the wood that they're actually from the same piece of wood, and the grain lines up between the two grips. Then obviously on the single piece grips, it's obviously one piece of wood. But that's sort of a nice touch to have the grain and the grip wood be from the same piece of wood, so that the grain conveys from one side to the other of the pistol. I think you might be able to see that going up through the grip. And just a nice little touch that Standard does that just accentuates the quality of the pistol and workmanship, and I guess craftsmanship. See if we can get that there, yeah. So anyway, just a little tidbit of information there. And as you can see, this is US 688. Now we're looking at the left side of the firearm. If you'll notice, we got the hat style front sight. We've got the narrow groove here on the back. Right here you should be able to see the 45 Colt that's imprinted on there. And then we've got a simulation of the Colt markings. Standard doesn't say that this is a copy or a clone of a Colt. They say it's just taken some of the features from the Colt, and they've made improvements using metal and modern technology to produce a firearm that is finely manufactured to very high standards. One of the characteristics of the standard manufacturing is they do timing on their screws, and if you'll notice, all the screws point down the barrel. So all the screws on the gun, whether they be in the grip, on the back strap, on the grip of the gun, they all line up. Now that one obviously spins when you utilize it, so it will sometimes get out of sorts as far as alignment. Notice a richly blued ejector, half moon ejector. Now this gun I purchased used. It's had supposedly 50 rounds through it, but you know, we've discussed in previous videos how important it is to make sure that you pull the hammer back to half cock, load the gun, and then complete the cycle by pulling the hammer completely back and releasing the hammer gently onto an open chamber in the cylinder. Well, this gun, unfortunately, someone didn't do that. And if you'll notice, there's a very light ring around the cylinder that was caused by not completing the cycle. I doubt that you can see it in the camera, but when you're at the half cock position or the loading position, the bolt is completely retracted, and there's no way you're going to get a circle or a scratch mark around the cylinder if you cycle the gun properly. And so it'd be one thing if you had a timing issue. I've checked the gun, it does not have a timing issue, and so the end result is that ring has come from failing to properly cycle the pistol when being loaded or inspected or whatever. Again, notice the beautiful coloration in the case hardening. We've got blues, we've got orange, we've got sort of rust red, we got some turquoise. Again, the nice fit and finish between the metal parts and also on the grips. It's a hair bold right there. I like it personally that way, so some people, that's preferences for different folks, different strokes, I guess you could say. Notice the grip screw is also aligned with the barrel. Notice the nice fit and finish between the grips and the frame. The back notch is it's a little bit wider than your standard Colt, but also the front sight is also pretty wide. But when you're shooting the gun, or when you're holding and aiming the gun like I've done just in practice, there's still a little bit of margin on both sides of the front sight, so it's not a tight fit like a lot of these modern guns that we have. Again, we've got the stamping, standard manufactured. So now we're going to zoom in and look at a close-up look, take a close-up look at the case hardening and the frame of the pistol itself, so you can see the coloration or whatnot. So again, 45 Colt. The screws are timed. Beautiful coloring. The more you look at it, the more coloration you see and variations in the case hardening, case color hardening. So now we'll be heading out to the gun range to play with my new toy and see how it performs, or how well the shooter can perform with it. Well, it wants to aim a little low, or I guess you'd say bury the sight.
I like that.
You like that?
You see that lower right chicken?
Uh-huh.
There's two on the beaks, two on the body, and one high left. I gave you $50 for it.
Thank you.
Well, that thing's pretty. Got just a little more blue than I'd like, but oh, I love that orange and that tan. Oh, and that. You know, I'm liking that better the longer I'm seeing it. Beautiful hammer. That's pretty
Well,
good.
shoot
Pretty
it
good.
again?
Yeah. What'd you give for this?
That one I got for like $1,600, because that one was supposedly shot a couple of times. Supposedly.
I can't imagine why anybody would turn loose of it. They got some powder in them. Wow. That's hard on my hand.
So they got more powder in them.
A lot more. That's loaded up to me like maximum on a 45. You shooting piggies' rear feet off.
Yeah, I am. I would say those have either more powder or more lead, one or the other.
That's more powder.
Because it definitely
Because the
kicks.
fireball is bigger.